Hey, what's happening?
Coach, we've heard it's been out there. Coach Johnson mentioned it. Coach Tuck mentioned it. Montori Foster has really, taken that step. And so, from your perspective, being the head of that room, talk about what you've seen from him during spring ball, coming up and getting ready to go into the game on Friday.
Well, he's elevated his game. He's playing with great confidence. He's been here. This is year 4 for him, so he understands the offense inside and out. And he is, stepped up and taken a leadership role in our room, and also a leadership role on the team. We've challenged him to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And he's done a good job of that, man. And he's made some plays this spring. He's made some, camp, and I'm excited to see what happens on Friday.
After beyond Trey, and we know about Montori, but it seems like after him there's a lot of uncertainty. How have you seen those guys develop, with obviously losing JD and Keon and trying to, fill roles from very talented players?
Well, from their perspective, they see it as opportunity, and we're going into a new season, after 5 and 7, every single position on our team was open, and we've had really good competition. I like the development of Gates and Glover and Henry, along with Fitzpatrick, the young guys that we brought in, Johnson and Smith. So guys are competing. There's a lot of balls out here that are available, and we're going to play the best 11 guys.
You think that's going to be reflective in the kind of the statistics? You had 2 go-to guys last year. Now you got a bunch of guys and a different quarterback. Do you think that's going to spread it out a lot more to your advantage? That's a really good question, good statement. We'll see, but I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities. Right now we have yet to establish that. Like I said, when you're 5 and 7, you haven't established that go-to guy. We'll figure that out as the season goes. But I got a room of guys that are hungry to prove their worth and to they fought for the opportunity to play. And like I said, it goes back to you compete to stay. So they've been competing to stay, compete to play, and they've been competing their tails off. And I'm excited, about my group.
You played 32 years ago. You played Central once.
I knew it was coming.
And I'm just wondering, is there? Obviously you come off 5 and 7, everybody's hungry. But I'm wondering, are there lessons from that moment that you ever share with your room or other players about that day? Or what do you remember about it?
Honestly, nothing. Honestly, some things you erase from your mind as a ball player. But our deal is we respect all opponents. That 30 some odd years ago, they were just better on that day. And I don't know if it's, I can't recall about our preparation, injuries or anything like that. I'll just say that day, they were better. And our deal is to challenge our guys to be at the top of our game across the board, special teams, defense, and offense, and to go out. We know we're going to be in a dogfight, and to go out and play Spartan ball, in all 3 phases. Outside of that, we were just worrying about Friday. We haven't really had any focus on, a lot of things that have happened in the past.
You have not brought it up with them?
No, more importantly, they haven't brought it up with me. So.
Mel said he had shown video of some of the games against CMU. Was that one of them, or?
The game that he did show was, I'm not mistaken, like in 15. I think it was in 15.
Okay.
So we've seen some pieces of a game.
Not the 09 game with the Antonio Brown?
No.
Coach,
definitely not the 90-something game.
Sorry, Coach, when you think back to the experience that you've had, collegiate on the highest level in the NFL, talk about this generation of athletes and what's different, what's the same when you have these young guys in the room compared to what your experience has been up until this day.
Definitely one of the big differences is, social media. There was no stars. I think it was
could be a blue chip or something like that. Just the attention these guys get as young athletes, whether they're ready for it or not. Also, obviously the big elephant in the room is, them with NIL deals, and they got so much other stuff going on versus when I came through. I think I got an opportunity to focus on school and on football. I mean, they got all kinds of things going on, so much stuff happening off the field, which, if they don't keep it in perspective, I think it does start to affect some of these guys' games. We push hard to make sure our guys understand, school, it's ball, your faith, and everything else to take care of itself. It's a different era, different animal, but we try to guide them through to make sure they're making good decisions, and also that they're keeping things in perspective, because at the end of the day, it's about being able to play well. A lot of these guys have dreams of playing on Sunday, and NIL deal ain't gonna get you to Sunday. You got to go out and ball out. So we talk to them about that stuff.
Could you imagine playing right now?
Yeah, I can imagine playing right now. I tell my guys, if it was NILs when I was playing, I have a Rolls Royce. So
the three new guys that you guys brought in, Smith, Johnson, and then Brown,
Yeah.
What have those three guys added? And kind of not necessarily what roles they'll play, but how big a roles do you feel they can be?
We'll start with Brown first. With him being a transfer, he's obviously had some game experience. He came in. He's a veteran guy. He's been in the fire, so he understands. Big Ten officiating, Big Ten ball, the grind of Big Ten, how physical the play is. He has been. He's been a great teammate. He has been easy to coach. He's a workaholic. So he's definitely gonna have the opportunity, to help us. The young guys, they're young guys. They came in, eyes are wide open. First training camp, and I asked them the other day about what they think of their first training camp, and they were like, "Hey, coach, man, it's tougher than I thought." So it's for them just figuring out the speed of the game, understanding the playbook, the details of it, so that we can trust the guys in the game. But they've been great, man. They've been great. They're some playmakers. They take pride in doing their job, and then they're upset when they don't do their job, which is what I like about it.
Courtney, tell us what happens with a football team that's grinded through the spring and the summer, and now 5 weeks of camp, and now they have a focus on an opponent. How does that affect practice intensity, if at all?
For us, we're at the point now they're tired of beating on each other. It's like it's time for a game. So the guys are excited about it. It's been building and building and building. I think they finally realized, now that we'll actually be playing Friday and we'll be playing against, a really good Central Michigan team. The intensity in practice, as you go through camp, the last week of camp, that's when guys, they get a little chippy. So I'm actually like, look, it's time. I feel like it's time. The guys are ready to play. We're prepared. We're prepared to have a great year.
With Keon obviously having the breakout year, a lot was expected of him, and obviously transfers out. I was wondering what your reaction to that whole situation was, and the guy you were obviously developing into pretty good talent.
I'll say this. I love Keon, good kid, gonna be a heck of a player. But I'll focus on my guys that are here. I got some guys here that are now afforded an opportunity, and they're gonna capitalize on it. And I'm really extremely happy and excited to see my room compete with the guys that are actually here.
Coach, got a two-parter for you. You talk about after a 5-7 season, this is a coach, you go back and you go, okay, what can I change, what can I improve on? So if you could speak to that, and then as a follow-up to that, talk about your expectations for the wide receivers starting out on Friday.
Well, I think one of the big things for us, and I'll speak from our room, is that, we lacked depth last year for whatever reason. I really feel like with this group, this is probably the deepest room that I've had since I've been here. So I feel, you know, there'll be a comfort level of, you know, with different guys being in the game, you know, versus some of the stuff that we've had in the past. And then I think, you know, the competition level has been tremendous. So it's pushed the ceiling of the room. So I'm really excited about that. For me, from an expectation standpoint, is for every single guy to do their job, you know, day in and day out. On Friday, you know, whether that's blocking, you know, contributing on special teams, you know, you get an opportunity to make a play downfield. You know, I really feel like the sky's the limit because I've watched these dudes compete since the spring, and you know, when the door opened up, that there was, you know, some more balls that will be available because of guys leaving. You know, these guys have stepped up to the challenge, so I can't wait till Friday to actually watch them play, man. See what they do when I'm not standing like right there on the field with them. You know.
What have you seen from Trey in camp? And you know, he's talked to us a lot about wanting to become a better leader, but also stepping forward and being that guy for your group. Has he made strides in that regard? Do you think? And
yes,
showing another level as a player.
I mean, yeah, you know, Trey is Trey. You know, Trey is steady Eddie. You know, we've challenged Trey to be, you know, speak a little more. You know, we challenge him to, you know, get out in front of the team. He does everything right. You know, you would love to have, you know, I'd love to have, you know, 10 Trey Moses in my room. So he's taking that leadership role. You know, it was kind of, you know, in the past, you know, you had Jay Reed, you had Speedy, so they kind of deferred. You know, he's the elder statesman, he's Big Unc, as they call him, and the guys really listen to him. You know, so he does help to drive, you know, the culture in the room, and he actually helps to drive the culture on our team. So, you know, he's going to have some opportunities to make some plays. You know, and for us to be as good as, you know, I believe we can be, he needs to be consistent. He needs to make some plays for us.
Going back to Alante real quick, is he only a slot, or is he a guy that eventually you think could play all over? Or?
You know what? The good thing, like I talked about depth, I think, you know, all the guys that you'll see Friday, they can all play all three positions,
Okay.
which is, I'm excited about that. So we'll move guys all over the place.
How have the receivers responded to both King and Hauser? And I mean, has the rhythm of the offense feel the same when either one's behind?
Yeah.
Behind center?
Yeah, it doesn't change, man. It's for us. It's about depth, you know, timing. You know, it doesn't depend. You know, who's ever underneath the center, the route 16 yards and 16 yards. Both of those guys have done a tremendous job. You know, this fall, both of them have a great command of the offense. You know, it's, you know, we get lined up and do as we told.
There's talk about us maybe, you know, obviously playing two potentially. I mean, does that need to be figured out pretty early, kind of get everybody on the same page? Or do you feel like it, you know, this can kind of continue?
I really feel like we're gonna put the best 11 out there, and who's ever underneath center, you know, we going to win the game. You know.
Anything else for Coach? All right, appreciate your time.
Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.